And welcome back. So far, so good. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and we want to thank you so very much for being a part of Open Your Eyes on this Thursday morning. The national payment system and its importance, that's what we'll be chit-chatting in the second segment. In with us for this morning is none other than Sheree Smiling Craig, who is the Director of Project Management. We've got with us Hollis Parham, Director of Finance and of the Central Bank, and Rabay Cruz, I'm trying to get this name earlier. Rabay Cruz, Director of Information Technology. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, and thanks for having us here.
Well, it's always nice to have you guys in, and like Marlene mentioned during the break, it has been a while, and this is extremely important. National Payment System, the Central Bank. Elaborate on that.
Okay. It's a strategy of a central bank, and definitely for the Central Bank of Belize, to have a sound legal environment along with a safe functioning payment system. 6 years ago, the central bank with collaboration from government of Belize and the financial institutions in Belize started a project to reform Belize's national payment system. We applied a phased approach. We are here to launch the APPS 3, which is the first phase, and APPS 3 is actually the information system that will connect banks in Belize. We never had that before, so this level of connectivity will allow for the flow of money in our country. It will also help with financial stability and contribute to economic growth. Having this interconnectedness then, or connectivity among financial institutions, will help the people of Belize and businesses. So individuals and businesses will be able to send payments electronically to a payee at another institution. In the past, you had to run across the street with money or a check in your hand and then go to your own bank and get that payment completed. But now, APPS 3 will provide the Belizean people with the payments that we deserve and the economy needs.
Yeah. Now, simplifying any kind of banking is something that's very much welcomed by some sectors. We still have quite a few traditionalists in the country who feel that unless I am physically doing the work, then it's safe. Now, talking about the sensitization program that will come along with it, that people can feel that the effectiveness of the system will be one that they can trust. How is that going to work?
Well, before I answer that, let me just also add to Ms. Craig, like, for example, what we want to stress here is that what we are doing here is for the user, for the man on the street. So let's look at, for example, an instrument that is, we all know about that, the check. We all know that the check can take 3 to 7 days for clear depending on the district. We are familiar with that. With our new system, this is going to make all checks will be cleared by the end of the very next business day. So that is an immediate benefit to the regular man. Now there's a new instrument that we are bringing in, which we call the IFT, the Instant Funds Transfer. And this is excellent. If you think about it, it's 24/7. So you'll be able, as long as your bank have some kind of online capability, you'll be able at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can send you some money right at that time, and you will be able to receive that money if I'm speaking to you on the phone. So we are really proud of this. This is like trailblazing even in the Caribbean region. And so we want to emphasize that. And then of course for the business, we cannot forget the businessman. He will be able to actually move money real time, anything over a certain value. He doesn't have to wait for any kind of special clearing. So I just wanted to emphasize those benefits for the businessman and of course the man on the street.
Yeah.
Right? Just wanted to add to Hollis in terms of your question about sensitization. This is a project that we embarked with the participation and cooperation of commercial banks, credit unions, and the government. So all the players, all the stakeholders were involved in the process. So this sensitization will also be contributed by those parties. So they are doing their part also to reach the customer, to reach the public.
Okay. So it'll be a joint effort to be able to get
Definitely.
users to understand the system.
Because each bank has a different infrastructure,
Right.
and they will offer different services, and the method with which their customers will access the system may be a little different. But the idea is that payments will be faster.
You know, people will always say, don't play with my money. But the Central Bank of Belize is actually bringing in now on stream the app 3, the technological part of this. And I wanted to come to you, Rabe. I like the name, by the way, Rabe. Let's talk about how easy this is going to be for folks, because everybody looks forward to technology. Everybody is next to technological incline, especially when it comes to the generation of today. How easy is this going to be for them? And where do we go?
Okay, that's a very good question. First of all, what we're providing is the infrastructure for the banks as the main point of contact. So once you provide this highway, the banks now can enable other products like mobile payments, stored value cards. A lot of these products cannot happen today because there's no infrastructure that will cause payments to go across participants, across bank financial institutions. So what we are doing, we're providing the enabling environment. To provide the security needed is very complex, but we want to make it easy and safe to use. So that makes it even harder, because we don't want to know about the underlying hardware and technology, but we want to know it's easy to use. So we're providing the enabling environment that it's safe, it's sound, it's fast, and it's private. That's a key component. Private meaning that only banks are members of this network, so it keeps the possibility of being of fraud, possibility of being hacked is minimizes that. So that's for safe. But once we provide the enabling environment, banks can do a lot of things with this infrastructure. So the idea is to provide an enabling environment, and we hope that banks and other financial institutions and non-financial institutions, by the way, because we don't exclude them, now we can get a telecom to provide an additional service. So we think the future is exciting.
Something it clicks with me, because it's an excellent gesture. Like I mentioned, I play with my money, and I like to make sure that I'm secure.
Yeah.
So I'm in the U.S. We've got our family, friends. Everybody knows when it comes to dealing with funds, we always tend to look that way. The green is good. So will I be able to work this from any part of the world? I'll be any part of the world, and I'll be able to get my business dealt with via this new app.
Remember, this is a phased approach.
Oh, okay.
This is
a
a
phased
domestic system. Initially, it's a domestic system. So we need to be able to move money locally first.
Okay, excellent.
Another phase may be in the future sometime that we can do it internationally. But first, we need to concentrate on getting Belizeans to buy into this system, use it, understand it, and demand more from their financial institutions, so that they can get the products and the services that they need and deserve.
Excellent.
So if I could just add to that, how we can promote this thing is, the future of banking is here.
Exactly.
And what that means is all these fancy payment instruments you see on the television, we have the infrastructure now so that these products can be layered on top of it, right? So we are getting ready for the future. The highway is there, it's just for the banks and any other investors to come and layer products on top of it. Everything you see in those movies, the future is coming.
People are going to look forward to their Apple Pay and
It's
Samsung
coming.
Pay.
But remember, we said phased, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
and I wanted to throw that in because I know it's a very convenient service people can use, but it's not here yet. I want to ask, because we know that the financial institutions are very competitive. And you've been it is a national system, and as you pointed out, Sheree, as well, it does include the credit unions. How difficult was it to get everybody on board with this project?
Well, let me start by saying that the credit unions were in the initial stages of the development, establishing the requirements and coming up with standards and that sort of thing. The credit unions, however, at this point, they do not have the infrastructure and the core banking system or an information system that would possibly connect to apps 3. So they're putting it in place. So, because financial inclusion is very important to us, so we understand that credit unions have a mass that they provide services to, and we really are encouraging and we're working along with them to bring their system up to the level that they can connect to to apps 3.
Okay. So they have accessibility but aren't necessarily fully tied into the system as
Not yet.
Okay.
They're not ready yet for that,
Yeah.
but they're working on it. So at this time, they can use a bank as an intermediary to get to apps 3, and that is the plan in the interim until they're ready.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to add, and again on your point about banks are competitive, that's a very important point, because we had to demonstrate first, get their buy-in, that this is not about competition. It is important that everyone participates. Here is about setting standards for communication. Here's the setting a level playing field. It's not about competition. The competition begins what you do with this product. That's where the competition starts.
Yeah, and we were able, they were very cooperative. We were able to set like the standards for checks in Belize. You know, we used to have lots of fancy little checks with background information, you know, the background on the check leaves. That doesn't happen anymore because we had to standardize the way checks look with a little micker line at the bottom that can be read by a scanner. So they have been cooperative in getting this infrastructure in place.
Well, the product seemed to be something that folks will definitely be buying into. How soon do we see this coming on stream?
Okay, well, we launch tomorrow.
Wow.
And we go live tomorrow with the infrastructure. We should add that because we have to take a step at a time, tomorrow we start with electronic payments being live. And then in a few weeks, then checks will be added to the system. And then into 2017, we start to phase in other instruments and other functionalities for apps 3.
All right, so let's break this down. Electronic payments, what does that mean? Does that mean I log into, and we have to be very clear, because I know many of us are technologically savvy, but I am still trying to convert many people, so I know it's not everybody. If I log on to my own personal banking system, what will I now be able to do as of tomorrow?
Okay, you would-
Show it up. You guys have good information.
Gotta break it down for us, yeah.
Okay,
You go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk from the user point of view,
Yes,
right?
from the user. I'm a user, yeah.
This right now, if I get onto my bank
Yeah.
and I go online, I am not able to transfer money electronically to a user at another bank.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? So this is
It's not a service you can get,
change
yeah.
right now. I just need to know what is Marlene's account number. Don't say it on the television. Right?
If
And
it's the
I'll be-
contribute, go ahead.
and I'll be able to transfer that 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? 4 o'clock in the morning. Real time.
Which means when you say Marlene has sent it, I can.
Right, I could be
Go
on
to
the
the
phone
ATM
with
and
you
take it
and
out.
we wait on the call just to make sure. That's of course assuming that your bank has done their end of the work. So remember, we have the infrastructure that is there. The banks, they do have to do some work, and all of them are getting there.
Let me ask a question because it is key. Not all banks currently have their online system at real time, which is why you're kind of making that
Yes,
disclaimer.
that's clarification
right?
there, yes.
So if your bank already does real time, which means as soon as you transfer, as soon as you deposit and you see it there, you can take it out, then that's real time. If there's a time delay in terms of clearance or recognition of payment, that means your bank isn't real time. And you
To
as
some extent,
you as the user need to start pressuring them to do so.
Yes, exactly. But in addition, you can walk into your commercial bank tomorrow.
Okay.
And the teller will be able to send your electronic payments for you. Okay? So even if you don't have it online at this time, the bank will be able to do that for you starting tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, nobody actually thought, like myself, I would never thought that we would have the central bank with us and be able to make up our mouth, because there is a point that was made. This is actually an exciting venture because it was very difficult for one to move money from one bank to another without you actually having to go to your bank, taking out some money and then putting that there.
Or having a bank day where you go to many different.
So apps 3 is definitely the thing you want to look forward to.
Exactly.
And it launches tomorrow.
tomorrow.
My
3
gosh.
words: fast, safe, reliable. Let's not forget that. Fast,
safe, reliable.
I like the fast. Let's talk about the safe. All right. And I know, Rabbi, this is your forte. It is most important. Money, John jokes, not play with my money.
Yeah.
But there are many people now who have different technologies to be able to hack, to do all kinds of things. Let's talk about the safety mechanisms that are in place and the standards that this system is at.
Wow, that's a heavy question.
Yeah.
But it's very important. Yes, actually, why it took a long time, because we're talking about 6 years, the process involved doing the requirement study, getting good guidance. The main partner for this was the World Bank. We have done this in over 100 countries, providing advice. So we got sound advice in terms of what are the security requirements for the system. So we started internally from our data center. We have redundancies and failover systems. We have encryption. So when your data is traveling from point A to point B, it's fully encrypted. Moreover, it's point to point, meaning that it travels on a fiber cable that's between central bank and a commercial bank. So it's fully encrypted and it's safe. We can go into other details because at the other end, we are using digital certificates for signing. So every time a bank sends a transaction to us, they are signing with an electronic signature, which is a certificate. They sign it as an authentic transaction. It's irrevocable. They cannot dispute it. So once they sign it, it's encrypted. And an additional component is that we're using, for every user that logs onto the system from the bank side, they have to be authenticated. And we're using tokens and RSA tokens and e-tokens for every user at every participating bank, including the government. We don't forget the government. They log on securely. The transaction is signed. It's encrypted to our end, and at our end, it is protected also by all kind of different security layers. And I can use the word firewalls and other devices and software security.
But to summarize that, it is the safest network that will be available in Belize. So we want to emphasize.
So I started off with the hacking question. The other question that people will have is confidentiality. Not everybody wants to disclose everything that's in their account, one. We know that the current regulations and the banks have been working to meet the standards in terms of anti-money laundering issues. They have had some challenges in rolling out those regulations. People are asking, why are you asking where this money is coming from? Why are you asking, what am I going to do with it? Systems that were traditionally in place, they've become comfortable with it. So users are now adjusting to that system. For people who think, well, this is just one way for government to really see where I'm doing my business, what I'm doing with my money, and that makes me uncomfortable. What do you say to that?
Okay, all right. With regards to those, right? Anti-money laundering, confidentiality, all of those things will still exist. What we are developing here is a payment system, and so we cannot forget any existing laws. Those laws will have to be adhered to. We are a payment system. The issues will still have to be dealt with by the banks.
So then if I have a large transfer to make, how do the banks do their checks and balances in
the same way that the checks and balances they have to do will continue. Once they finish that, then it goes on to the apps and the money is moved.
Right. In the past, they used to have to call into the central bank and say that I need to do this special clearing, and then a check is brought over or a credit advice is brought over by messenger or courier to the central bank, and then the money was applied to the payee's account. That will not be necessary anymore. After all what compliance issues are dealt with, the money will be applied to your account. And we should add that apps 3 also checks for compliance. So it checks automatically against World Check, which has many lists of names that you need to verify, and apps 3 checks automatically against that list as soon as a transaction hits it. So we are doubling up actually on the compliance, because the banks still have responsibility for checking compliance, and apps 3 will check compliance also.
All right. So how prepared are you guys for this rollout? Because you don't want any glitches, you
Yeah.
don't want any
As
holdups.
best as we can. This
With that
is a huge
system.
system.
Of
and so
course.
with huge systems, you know, anything can happen, but we feel that we are prepared. The banks are prepared. We have all our consultants here. The banks have their consultants. As best as we can, we are ready for
Yeah,
tomorrow,
we've done
right?
thorough testing.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done months of testing by specific scripts to ensure that all the different functionality is tested, and banks had to be certified that they completed this process. The users of the banks had to be certified that they know what they're doing from their end. So we went through a very thorough process. As Rabe said, the World Bank gave us very good technical advice, and that was the basis for where we are today.
Okay, where's the launch? What time is the launch?
Okay.
Because this is definitely an exciting venture for this country. What time is the launch tomorrow?
It's at 9 a.m. at the Central Bank's Lecture Hall
Wow.
tomorrow morning.
All right. And as you pointed out, it's the first portion of the rollout,
Yes.
which is the transfers that can be made.
The electronic transfer.
Electronic transfers. Then you have the check services that will
Yes.
come up. What does that mean?
That means that now, instead of, every morning, banks come to the central bank. I don't know how familiar you are with this, but every morning at 8 o'clock, every commercial bank comes over to the central bank with a bunch of checks. They exchange checks, a lot of checks, yes. They exchange the checks among each other physically, right? That will not happen anymore. At the source, at the bank's end, either at their teller or in their back office, they will scan those checks, batch them electronically, submit them to APPS 3. And as Hollis said earlier, by the next business day, after the banks have processed those checks, the money will be in your account.
Wow. So there's no more 3 days, 7 days wait.
No.
It's actually the next day.
Unless the check is returned for some reason.
Yeah.
But if you are careful in filling out your check information, ensuring that everything is in place,
They
then
have to have money in
and
there.
you have to have
If it's
money
a
in
bad
there.
check, it's a bad check.
Exactly.
It's not gonna clear.
Exactly. That's not going to change. Yes.
And cost of services?
Do you want to take that, Hollis?
Yes, Director of Finance. Yeah, our investment indeed has been huge, right? We're not here to talk about the numbers per se, just that it says relatively substantial. However, this is a key strategic objective for the central bank. So we are not looking at pricing right now. We are actually going to study this thing. We're going to see how it goes. The banks have agreed with us as recently as a couple days ago and says that all price that you pay right now will remain. There should be no new price. We're going to study this thing, and then we're going to see how we go sometime in the future. So investment is huge financially, and of course our staff time and our resources, human resources, but it was worth it. This is about the economy of Belize and strategic objective of everybody advancing the well-being of the country of Belize. Okay?
Great. You guys are actually representing well. But one of the things we like to do, especially Cruffy, we like to boast. Do we find services like this in the Caribbean, or is this Belize in the lead in terms of banking amongst the Caribbean, in the Caribbean?
Yeah, we can boast. He's a good boaster.
Let me one of the boasts is definitely what we are able to do, because we are doing an integrated system. So we are able to do low value, high value, and security system in about 2 years. Most of the Caribbean areas took 5 to 10 years to do. And now we're going to have a product. I'm sure that most of them don't have instant funds transfer. Remember that IFT. So I want to boast about that. We are trailblazing in the Caribbean region. Okay. You guys can continue to boast.
Actually, that is true. In every country implements a national payment system, and they are 10 years old, and they implemented all those modules, but separately. Now we are doing it in an integrated fashion, and also this IFT, they're all trying to bring that on board now, and it's very challenging for them. We are doing it on the get-go, so we're ahead.
Excellent. I could plainly say, I know we're wrapping up, I could plainly say though, this is what's hot for Christmas.
Well, never thought of that.
It'll make life a lot more convenient for people,
Yes.
and I think
Definitely.
that's ideally what you're working towards. Technology exists with a purpose, and once we start utilizing it, then we're all able to benefit. So this is obviously something that you've been working on 6 years, I've heard you say.
Yes.
So
6 years.
all the groundwork is in. It is being launched tomorrow in stages, and it sounds like there's some more great opportunities that will come once we get through this first phase,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Congratulations on the work that you've put in so far, and best of luck with the launch tomorrow.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you too.
All right.
Excellent. There's definitely a lot to learn. There's definitely a lot to do across this country, and that's one of the things we do here at 5. Make sure that you are informed. We've got
That's
the
right.
third and final segment coming up. Do you like salads?
Of course I love salads. We're going to shift to our final segment after the break, so stay tuned.